Humans are evolutionary hardwired to react to stories. I wouldn't start with what makes a good brand video. I would start with what makes a good story.
Welcome to episode 2 of the Shootsta podcast. I'm Steve, general manager of Shootsta Premiere, and I have my co-host, Maddy Clark.
Hi, head of sales and partnerships.
Why don't we start with an intro, Maddy? Just a little bit about yourself, where you come from, and what you do at Shootsta.
Where I come from?
Yeah.
Huge. My name's Maddy. I come from a, CRM marketing automation background. I began my career in recruitment. I'm from the country, and now I head up our sales and partnerships function here at Shootsta.
Where in the country are you from?
I originally Gundawindi. You've probably
Shout
never
out to
heard of it.
Where is it located? In New South Wales?
New South Wales, good guess. In the Bight, New South Wales and Queensland, there's a little gap that goes up the top.
Just in the pocket.
Just in that little gap.
Sounds amazing.
You should go.
I'll put it on the list. We also have our guest, Andras, who is our creative director of Shootsta Premiere. Hello.
Nice to be here, guys. Thank you so much.
Why don't you give us a little bit of a brief overview of your careers and talents?
So, careers and talents, the whole life story, end to end.
Whole life story.
I will try to squeeze it in a brief minute. So, I always I started shooting videos and films and was always interested in visuals and the creative aspect from around age 15, 16, got my first camera. So I started reading biographies of different entrepreneurs and it just fascinated me how businesses can make an impact on society and just basically people's lives. But then my main question was, how can I participate with whatever interests me and be part of this exciting world? So for me, visuals and video was the medium that I decided I want to pursue. So I started my video production agency when I moved to Sydney. And of course, it was an absolutely bootstrap process. I bought a second-hand camera. I learned everything from YouTube. It was almost 10 years ago. And I started getting clients. And my main principle was just how, I only want to do things that I genuinely love, enjoy, and passionate about. Because I just feel like we just spend so much time at work. Why don't we just enjoy it? And on the other hand, I really believe that if you love something and genuinely enjoy something, then you can just go as deep in the learning process and be as thorough and experiment as much as possible, because that just unlocks that creative potential what you have in you, while you actually don't necessarily like something, or you just do it because you have to do it. It feels like a burden and you're just going to do the bare minimum or something to get you by. So anyways, short story long, I picked up a camera, started my agency, and then it just progressed for a couple of years, and I started working at a bigger, more creative production company. I worked with bigger brands, did bigger projects, and 6 months ago, I got approached by a good friend, Steve here, who also worked at the company where I worked previously, but now he works at Shootsta. At that time, he worked at Shootsta. So I joined the company, and our mission was to build out Shootsta's creative division and unlock this fascinating world that we can provide to our clients with very high quality production and creatives to help them build their brands and companies.
Yeah. Well, it's a perfect segue into the topic of today's conversation, which is brand videos, specifically our brand video. And Maddy's experience will come in helpful here in asking a few questions too. But we're looking at what makes a good brand video. How do you get creative with brand videos in such a way that there's proven ROI? Is there a formula to brand videos? And so let's start with a very broad question. It's very broad and there's a lot to talk about here, but what makes a good brand video from the start? How can you define what is a good brand video as objectively as possible, and what is a bad brand video?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I would start from the point, like I love to start from first principles and reason up from there. So I wouldn't start with what makes a good brand video. I would start with what makes a good story or what makes a good video, because the principles are the exact same, even though we speak about a feature film Hollywood production, speak about an overview video, an educational piece, or we speak about a company's brand video that will use on the market to increase their footprint and brand awareness.
So the first concept or the first lens that you should approach this with is that a brand video is a story.
Is a story. So basically, and there will be a big distinction between different types of videos. But what I would say is that, yes, so humans are evolutionary hardwired to react to stories. It's in our brain. That's how we function neurologically. And then there is a very important evolutionary purpose for that. The reason is at 30,000 years ago, we started drawing on the wall of caves. So we had these visuals to tell different stories. People at that time mainly drew animals and other people and hunting and different locations, all these different things. But basically that was the most basic and the most like the first initial form of sharing information with each other. And that's why I know we started that from the perspective of a brand video, but let's rewind a bit and let's see where this whole thing began from an evolutionary perspective, because those same principles still apply. So yes, 30,000 years ago, paintings. That was the most basic form. And then they started sharing stories with each other, memorizing and telling at the fire. And stories were important for survival because that's how we pass on knowledge to each other. And basically, if you rewind, if we wind it back to where we are right now in the evolutionary timeline, we're still sharing stories. So when it comes to a brand video or any video, basically what we want is a company, like everyone is fighting for attention. Every company, it's absolutely saturated, especially in nowadays with social media and all the like insane amount of content popping up, and there is a lot of context shift we have to go through, even if we just scroll on social media for a couple of seconds. So the main question, like the main challenge, how can a company create a piece that stands out, grabs attention, and drives action? Because that's essentially what we want. We want to stand out, catch people's attention, and want them to be engaged enough that they want to learn more. And that drives action. Either can be clicking on our website, reading more, watching an overview video, or just being like having a slight amount of brand awareness on top of mind. And then the same principles apply that applied 30,000 years ago. We have to tell stories because that's how we are wired. And then here, a good brand video, I believe, kind of have a lot of different variables it has to hit. But most importantly, it tells the story that resonates with the brand and drives the desired action.
That's interesting. So how we know that 91%, I think it's 91% of all video marketers are using video as part of their marketing efforts. It's in this day and age, if you don't use video, you're probably missing out on a key part of your marketing activity, right?
Video, yes. And again, we can distill this down to basic principles. And then the main principle of that would be is why video? Video engages most of our senses, if you think about it. Like apart from being in an in-person conversation, what can get as close as possible to an in-person experience? With video, you have audio, you have your visual component of it, and it's moving. Obviously, there's a saying that a picture worth 1,000 words because it's visual and it tells the story. So in a video, every single second depends on the frame rate, but in general, every single second is 24 images, and it's moving, and you have audio. So it's as close as it can get through a screen to engaging most of your senses and telling you the story.
See, I look at it from a sales perspective and putting that hat on. When you're creating these videos and like you said before, what's good versus bad, how are you looking at it from the perspective of driving those conversions? Like what does move the needle in those brand pieces versus what's going to completely miss the mark?
Yep. Yeah, good point. I think what people, and now I'm speaking from general experience, but I think people in general don't like to be pitched to in a more serious way, because nobody cares about you. Only you are the one who care about your own business. People care about, are you going to, like, how are you going to provide value, which could be educating them, which could be selling them a great service or product, or which could be entertaining them. But nobody wants to just pitch to and being sold to. So I think you can leverage all these, and that's why I'm saying that there are different content types, but the main principles are the same. You want to, like, if a new blockbuster movie comes out with your favorite actor and some exciting story, and they built it up with marketing, and like you had the campaign, and you're waiting and anticipating maybe Barbie or
Whoa.
I love Barbie too.
So you were team Barbie, not team Oppenheimer?
I'm team Oppenheimer, but so maybe Barbie or Oppenheimer or Barbie. Who knows?
I haven't seen either, believe it or not.
Haven't seen either.
No, I really need to get on it. Cancelled. Yeah.
Damn, a lot to catch up on. But no, that's okay. But it was just an example. So the point is that you are excited to watch it. You want to watch it, and you voluntarily pay money to go to the movies and spend a significant amount of time in a dark room staring at the screen.
Can you put it like that? It sounds so grim.
But why, if we make a video, either if it's for our, and don't forget, all movies, even though they are a significant part of popular culture and are zeitgeist nowadays, they serve a commercial purpose. So they don't make movies unless it's some very, like, I don't know, indie artistic Hollywood. What is the mainstream has a very strong commercial purpose behind it. So there is a proper commercial machine that produces these movies, and then sometimes there's a problem because we lose that independent artistic flair because we just have to please the crowd. But what I want to say with it, without going too much sideways, is we can use the same principles. Why we shouldn't produce commercials that serve a commercial purpose, but just people actually want to see them. And I think that's a good brand video. But I can tell you why, because it's hard. And
this jumps into the topic of conversation on creative as well. So Maddy's talking about what kind of videos move the needle, and it ties into the creative direction. So when we pitch for brand videos with clients and our creative choices, why are we making certain creative choices? Are we being creative for the sake of being creative, or do we have a decision-making process behind every choice?
So I think that's a very good question. If we think about the movie industry, I'm just using that because that is, in filmmaking circles, that's kind of the gold standard, because they have the budget, they have the best talent you can get, the best infrastructure and technology, the latest technologies, some of the technologies being developed by the movie industry. So if you think about that, most of Hollywood movies are driven by a commercial purpose, and that's why they use different, like, specific talent. That's why they hire the newest hip studios or directors, because the movie have to sell. So there is commercial purpose behind that, and it applies just as much to brand videos as well. So yes, 100%, we're not just making a brand video to be artistic and create something beautiful, and nobody is not really going to get the desired outcomes and get the return on the investment, because it can be a significant investment. But I think the main question is that if we have this spectrum, and one side is being absolutely artistic and expressing ourselves and all these different things, and the other is purely factual, quantifiable, and commercial, where do we sit on this slider? And also, I truly believe that art can serve commercial purposes easily, and it also shows in history. So a lot of times, in hundreds of years ago as well, art served some kind of, it sounds bad, but it was supporting some kind of propaganda or service, and same with moving pictures as well. Like, if you just think about it's called the Netflix effect. I don't know if you heard about that.
What is the Netflix effect?
So, an example, when Queen's Gambit came out, great miniseries.
I haven't seen that one either.
So good, amazing. But when Queen's Gambit came out, chessboards sold out on Amazon.
I wanted to get into it.
And
You want to start playing chess
Yeah.
because of that?
Yeah.
everybody started playing chess. And if you think about it, in that series, you didn't learn anything about chess. It was a drama series, and it was the whole drama and personalities and the strategy and the mind games and all this stuff. But you didn't learn chess moves. It was a drama. So what I'm trying to say is that a well-produced piece of content, either it's a movie, a miniseries, or brand video, can have a massive impact on perception and human behavior. So you release this miniseries about chess, and chessboards sell out, and the search term "how to play chess," I think it was the highest on Google Trends in the last like 40 or 50 years or something. So, and everybody was trying to play chess, but the movie, the series was about chess, but it wasn't about chess. So it wasn't about the actual how to play chess. It was just a dramatized series about a chess player. But still, changed the perception, made it more approachable and human for people, more relatable, and people started playing chess. So that's the Netflix effect, and that just proves me it's a very relevant example. There are millions of examples throughout history how they use, let's say, video to change the public perception, like from political campaigns to whatever you want to mention. There are many of them, but this is a very relevant commercial example, what a lot of people can relate to.
This is Top Gun. Top Gun was exactly the same. The first Top Gun movie drove Air Force recruitment through the roof in the 80s.
Yeah.
And the second one was produced kind of with that intention to the same degree. Everyone wanted to be a fighter pilot because it was the coolest thing.
Employer branding sorted.
Basically.
Yeah.
So then question for you, what do you see when because you're speaking to probably more marketing directors than anybody else in the company, but what do you see as common statements or common points of discussion that leads you to think that a client probably needs a brand video or a refresher brand or something like that?
I think it's probably two things. One being they're getting a lot of pressure from their sales team.
Yeah.
They're saying, I'm out there, I'm knocking down all of these doors, and no one knows who we are. So how can we get our name out there? How can we get what we're trying to do out there in a really clear and concise way? And often it's, I think, the sales team probably demanding that from the marketing teams and having a bit of a friction or a point of friction, within that. The other thing I'd say is they're always asking us just do more with less. How can we do this big, exciting piece that really, really sings to what we do as a company for this tiny budget over here that doesn't quite justify it? So I guess a question back to you, what do you do in that scenario? Because what we're hearing in market at the moment is, the needs for these brands, this fighting for attention is just going through the roof, and the demand and the friction from the sales team is pushing down that door as well. How do you create that narrative? How do you build that momentum while not blowing the bank at the same time?
Yeah, good question. And then I also 100% agree with what you said. Marketing should be there to provide ammunition for sales. 100%. And
she wants that in writing.
Yeah.
and imagine, I don't know, like it's just an analogy that comes to my mind. You try to light a fire. You can try to light little sticks. You have a little match, like that's basically trying to sell. But what if you have some oil and start spilling it and then lighting a fire and it starts spreading? That's marketing. That actually gives you the ammunition and changes people's perception and positions what you are selling as something cool. It's something people want and approachable, and it's surprising for me. It's absolutely fascinating how much well-produced content can shift people's perception. It could be a subject, could be a product, or could be a person. Doesn't matter. Like it makes a massive difference. And back to the question, how can we have the biggest possible impact on a smaller budget? Doable, absolutely doable. But that's where you have to be creative and find an angle, find an approach that sticks out and speaks to the right audience and resonates. And I think that kind of brings us to the topic of relatability. Like whatever we produce, it has to be relatable and has to resonate with the right audience. And also, I think, of course, the smaller your budget, the narrower your aim has to be. So basically, the more you have to target and decide actually who is my ideal customer persona, who is the person I'm speaking to, and have to dial down a little bit and create content specifically for that with a very, very crystal clear aim, because you don't have the resources to just shoot in the dark. So, but yeah, and then how to make it work with a smaller budget? Have to be creative, have to be crystal clear on who we're targeting, and approach it from a very creative way, and decide how we can distinguish ourselves. And I think producing something lower quality, I'm not saying on a low budget it has to be lower quality, but what I'm saying is that whatever you put out, every single touch point of your company with the customer, either if it's your website, your pitch deck, your brand video, your overview video, your sales reps, whoever it is, that's the representation of your organization. And that every single touch point shapes customer perception before they make the buying decision. And there is this saying, I don't know how accurate it is, but they say that there is like an average of 7 customer touch points before they make the buying decision. And that's what I'm saying. Like, and there is an insane cutthroat competition out there for attention and for resources and for purchases. So with every single touch point, we have to be very, very, very intentional. And yes, so we can put out lower quality content, but we also have to consider that will be a representation of what we are doing, what we are standing for. And also the organizations are made by people. So I like to think about it in a way that whatever I'm putting out, it doesn't just represent my organization, it represents who I am. So I rather just put something out I can be proud of. So yeah, have to be resourceful, target well, and if it's not the highest quality, it has to be on purpose. It can't come across as, hey, I tried to do something very great. I didn't have the budget, so it looks quite crap, but here you go. Because that's gonna be obvious. People are not stupid nowadays. They see a lot of content. So their sensitivity is pretty fine-tuned. So if you put out something lower budget, it has to look like, oh, they put it out in this quality because that was the intention, that was the effect or the style they were going for.
I like what you're saying around the 7 touch point thing. And I think as a selfish salesperson wanting the most ROI out of everything possible, it's from what I've seen even you guys do, it's looking at that brand video as those 7 touch points. How can we extrapolate multiple assets from that one piece and make sure that, marketing director X knows that, yes, I'm spending hopefully a bit more budget on this one piece, but what I'm going to get off the back of that is actually those additional 6 touch points that I needed from that one video. So now you've potentially spread it across, 6 at the price of 1.
Yeah, let's talk about that too. So doing more with less on that point and having the narrow focus that you talk about, the touch points that you talk about. We should probably talk about the client briefing process, how we make sure we can get the most out of the brand video. And I suppose that leans into the conversation of our own brand video that we produced as well. So client briefing, first and foremost. What are the most important things that we need to get from a client to deliver on all of the things that we're talking about? Doing more from less, creative choices that deliver ROI, maximum touch points where we can derive maybe short form content from. What do we need to know?
So I would say it's pretty much going to the doctor. It is like, to some level, they come to you and say, hey, we have some problem. We need a bigger impact. Great. To set up the diagnosis. And also, what I would say is, even before we start briefing, let's identify what kind of content you need and what part of your marketing funnel is leaking and where you need support. So maybe, and that's, again, let's go to the root cause. Let's see the problem and let's see what would make the biggest impact for you. And then we identify, okay, let's say we land on a brand video, just for the sake of simplicity. So we landed on a brand video, and then we need as much information as possible. So we need to know your marketing strategy in and out, because a video is a very powerful asset, but it doesn't operate by itself. It operates in an ecosystem of your marketing strategy. Whatever platforms you're using, whatever other collaterals you're using, whatever is your long-term marketing strategy, whatever is your brand story, it has to fit perfectly in it. And what I often see, which is, again, it's a little bit straying away narrowly just from the content itself or video content, but sometimes if the other pieces are not at place properly, then it's a little bit throwing money out the window. So we have to observe this entire ecosystem, what we're working with when it comes to a company, the entire process, all the touch points, and then we very, very clearly have to understand what is the goal with this video, what is the long-term goal of the entire marketing strategy, and how we can support it with the biggest possible impact, so they actually get the biggest possible return from the budget they provide us. And that is when we have this slider of the pure numbers and economics, and we have the other end, which is the creative piece. And that is what we have to dial in, like how the creative piece will have the biggest economic impact if we fit it into this ecosystem. And to find that out with the briefing process, that's how this whole process starts, this whole discovery process, setting up these diagnostics is getting as much input on all of these different variables as possible, and then using all that data and information to derive and create a creative from it. And that is the challenge, and that's...
Well, let's use that to talk about our brand video now. So, because it's a perfect segue, our brand video, what was the brief? The brief was we had to convey all of our capabilities in 90 seconds.
Yes,
90 seconds. We wanted it to be able to be watched without audio and still have the message understood. What were the other metrics that we had in there?
So I think with our brand video, the biggest challenge was, as you said, we had a lot of different variables. Like we starting this new amazing creative division, Shootsta Premier. We are offering very high quality bespoke content for big and small and all different size of corporate clients. Great, but we have to show them and tell them what we are doing and what's the value we're offering. So that was number one. Our brand video has to clearly communicate what value we can provide and what Shootsta Premier is. I think that's pretty straightforward. But then what else we need? We need collateral. So, okay, we're just starting, we need a lot of collateral. So how can we show with one video all the different types of production we can provide for our clients, but within one 90-second video? And of course, as we said it previously, we don't want to tell, we want to show. So instead of pitching people, oh, we do this, we do that, we have a great service, buy it from us today. Instead of that, we want to tell a story. So people actually listen. Oh, it's interesting. It's a cool story. It's relatable. Exactly. So tell it in 90 seconds and showcase all our different production capabilities. That's a very practical aspect. Like if you're speaking about production capabilities, what I mean by that is we have a beautiful studio. Let's just show what we can shoot and produce in a nice cyclorama environment. We can do a lot of high-end VFX. Let's use some VFX in the video. We also can shoot on location. Well, let's go to some amazing-looking locations and shoot there as well. We can shoot overview videos. Let's shoot in a more corporate environment. Like it's a very diverse mix of different locations and production techniques. How we can squeeze it into 90 seconds and make it a well-flowing, concise story. So that was the main creative challenge. And first, to do all of this, we also had to build our studio. So we built the studio. The paint literally just dried on the pristine white cyclorama. And the next day we started shooting.
Yeah, there was no gap, was there? It was the paint was drying overnight and then we started production.
Steve was rolling the white paint, and as soon as it wasn't sticky, we started shooting.
Yeah, that was fun. Okay, so brand video. Our brand video, what was one shot or one section that was the most technically demanding?
Okay. Yeah, 100%. There were a couple. So another principle when it comes to good brand videos and what I wanted to keep in mind before we started production is that, and that's also a basic principle in filmmaking as well, you don't want to tell in depth what you're doing. You want to show it, and you want to show it in a simple way. So instead of trying to, a lot of companies, a mistake they make when they make brand videos is they're trying to tell all their offerings and ins and outs and just squeeze a lot of information into a brand video. But the brand video is not about that. The brand video is about getting attention, and that's all. Just get some attention and make people interested. That's all. You don't have to tell them the whole story. So same way in this case as well. Our goal wasn't to tell ins and outs of what we're offering. That would be more like a product overview or something along those lines. Explainer. With our brand video, the goal was just to make them interested. So I wanted to keep the scenes simple and the story relatively simple, but the quality and the level of creativity high. So I really love a concept when there is a simple concept, simple, elegant, exciting concept, and then you unpack it in a very creative and high quality way. I think that's a powerful combination, as opposed to you have so much complexity and so much things to share and trying to squeeze it all together, but it's just not going to flow well because the message has to be clear. So the most challenging part of the brand video overall is to do all of that in 90 seconds. But if I want to highlight, let's say, a specific scene or a production technique, is that just as a recap for people or the audience who
get on screen, yeah?
we can get it on screen. So the story starts with our protagonist, who's a marketing executive, which is our ideal customer persona for Shootsta Premier. And she is in a big trouble, have a tight deadline, has to deliver a company brand video. She falls asleep, and this gives us the perfect opportunity to transport her into the Shootstaverse, where she wakes up. And back to this was probably one of the most trickiest scenes, to transport her from the real world into this imaginary universe, the Shootstaverse.
That was one cut, wasn't it?
That was one cut, one continuous cut. We have some awesome behind the scenes pictures that we can show. But then the whole story is that she's going through this imaginary universe where anything production related is possible, and all her fears and all her headaches regarding production and content just goes away, and she can use under her fingertips, there is this magical platform, which is the Shootsta platform, where every production can be unlocked, and then she can easily, smoothly, and successfully create content and celebrate with her colleagues once it's delivered. And so this was the story. It's a simple story. She's a marketing executive, have a lot of stress, like very stressed, has to deliver content, falls asleep, wakes up in this magical universe, and then we are back in reality, and she discovers the Shootstaverse. But it gave us the opportunity, just because of the structure of the story, to guide her through all these different environments and production techniques, which is on location, VFX, in studio, and all these different things with the prop heavy, cleaner shots, all these different things squeezed into one story in a quite engaging way. So
tell us about the single cut where she falls asleep in a bit of detail, the production side of things.
So when she falls asleep here, so basically what happened is that we dollied in on her, took out, like, she is sitting at a desk. The legs of the desk, we took out the legs of the desk, replaced it with a tripod, and set up an entire dolly system that pushes slowly towards her as she's falling asleep. When she falls asleep and her face fills the entire frame, we put a green screen behind her, and as she started waking up, we slowly started from a controller changing the lights as well to match the lights motivated by the universe. So she woke up, lights changing, green screen goes in, and then of course the rest was in post, keying out everything, which was actually quite tricky because as the lighting changed, the color of the green screen changed. So our amazing VFX artist Andras spent a couple days just cleaning it out and then replacing it with the universe.
So can we watch that sequence, Katie? Just back from when she falls asleep. So she's putting her head down here. The background is real. The lighting changes. And she's waking up.
She's waking up.
So the green screen is there now.
The green screen is there. It's all keyed out. She's reacting. The lighting already changed to match the background. And boom, then we reveal where she is. She's in the Shootstaverse with all these production-related floating objects.
Are there any Easter eggs in this shot? I see one.
We have our logo. But if we want to speak about Easter eggs, then actually let's go back to the opening scene, which is, yes, so here the pinboard and the binders, the folders on the shelf. So basically our proposition with Shootsta Premiere is that, you have that triangle we often speak about.
Yes.
So what's a triangle?
I believe it's called the triple constraint problem. So you have...
Pick two.
Yes. So you have to pick two. So you have quality, time frames or speed of delivery, and cost. And typically speaking, you can only pick two, right? You can have something that is produced very creatively and delivered very quickly, but it's going to cost a lot of money to do so. And that's a whole sales pitch, but I believe we've solved all three because of the existing infrastructure of Shootsta, right?
Yeah. So it's a very noble pursuit. We constantly striving to get there, and I think we constantly getting closer to hit high quality in time and in a reasonable budget. And that's how we are optimizing both the physical and the digital aspects of our infrastructure. So they work very closely together. And in this one, we have on the pinboard, we have that in budget and time and high quality, like those different aspects. And then of course on the pinboard, we also have every single alternative you can think of when it comes to video production. So if you could jump to the scene with the pinboard, and yes, like here. So if you, obviously this only shows for like a second in the video itself, but if you pause it, you can see what options you have for video production. You can hire someone. You can use an agency. You can use a freelancer. What else we have here? So you can use stock images. All these different alternatives, but they all have their drawbacks. So how you resolve it, and then of course we're trying to address all of these with the offering we have, with bespoke content in a reasonable budget, high speed turnaround, and as creative as it gets. And that is of course infrastructure, but also talent we are hiring and constantly leveling up.
So coming back full circle, this is the perfect example of a creative choice that is not just creative for the sake of it, it's painting a picture, right? It's
exactly
a strategic choice.
Exactly. And maybe it's just subliminal, because most likely nobody is going to notice this in a fraction of a second, or like a second as long as this shows, but maybe just subliminal. But also, I think it's just more like also gears are thinking as well to shape the entire story, to have these messages as clear as possible. To communicate these messages as clear as possible.
I think, like what you said before, something that really stands out in speaking to marketing teams and what we're hearing from them, it's just that operating lean, management asking them to do more with less at the end of the day. So I think the choice of her being alone during all of this, having all of these competing priorities, it really does sing true to what people are experiencing at the moment. And, a nice little planting the seed for potential future videos, just even on that, board, it's do I hire? So it's, the brand component that could sit around, internal versus, something like Shootsta where it's an ecosystem. I feel like you could almost categorize different brand videos off the back of this.
And I think that's one of the value propositions of both sides of our business though, right? Like we say it all the time, we do all the heavy lifting for you, but time after time, every marketing exec that I speak to is understaffed, under-resourced, under budget. And it's this woman on her own, basically, right? One-man operations.
And you see it so many times.
One-woman operations.
Yes.
One woman operation, exactly. You one man, one woman operation. You see them all the time. I can't say names, but we just finished shooting literally yesterday a whole series, and the marketing manager was this one-man operation for the entire startup, and I see it all the time. Like so many, like I would say, I can't say exact percentages, but probably half of the time, that it's the same story. Oh my God, I'm so busy. Like I'm running all these things. I'm running the expos. I'm running our marketing. I have the new product launch event coming up. I have this. I have that. And we have to do this video. And that often, like the clients are just absolutely swamped. And what we're doing here is, hey, don't worry. Tell us everything we need to know. We are the doctors here. Tell us everything we need to know. And we will use all our resources, use all our experience, the infrastructure we have, work closely with you, as closely as you want. If you want to be involved, great. We have clients many times who come on set and co-direct with me, which is great. It happened in the last 2 days as well. We were shooting. The client was next to me. It's funny because when we built the brand new studio, we built this super cozy client area with sofas and snacks and fridge and a giant screen where they can just sit and chill and drink margaritas and watch the screen. We even wanted to put in a small popcorn machine for them as well. But what happens is the client, nobody's using it. The talent using it, they sit there and chill, but the client is right next to me, looking at the screen, looking at what we're shooting, and we're discussing every little detail. And I really believe this synergy really helps us to get the outcome and deliverables that they really need, because we can provide all production related aspects, and marketing executives shouldn't be worried about production. For them, it should be, oh, those guys doing it, they know their stuff. They should trust us with it. But what I need from them, what we need from them is the input, because they know all the ins and outs of the company story, the brand, their strategy, the goals, what they want. Like, I need all those inputs. And if it takes them to sit next to me and spend a day together, that's reassuring for me, reassuring for them. If they don't want to, totally fine. We're happy to take care of it. That's what we do. There is another option as well. We can even share the feed, what the camera sees, and share it with them online, and they can just tune in sometimes, sign off on costumes, sign off on sets.
We've done that before. We've had people co-direct from the other side of the planet with you, right?
I had like 30 people on set, directing, client tuning in, co-directing together. Very busy days, but it was a Fortune 5,000 company. Can't say names, but at the end of the day, they were absolutely happy with the video. It sits right on the top of their website, and it drives them a lot of sales and understanding of what they're actually doing. It's complex. It's actually they operate in that specific company operates in cybersecurity, so it helps them a lot to get engagement and close deals. Yeah, exactly.
I can imagine the follow through, like these brand videos, it's all about creative, it's all about the execution on the day, but then that post piece and actually getting it delivered, that's what marketing directors have a lot of pain with around as well. It's how do I actually get it back now that we've just done all of this work? Like, when am I going to see it? And I think by having them there and getting that input directly, you're just going to speed up that process of which they can have a finalized asset back and cut down the number of amendment rounds as well.
Yeah, I think our amendment rounds are probably some of the lowest out there, just because of our briefing process and the fact that they're involved, but we're doing the heavy lifting, as we said. So there's no surprises at the end, right?
That's exactly
Short-term pain, long-term gain.
Exactly.
Exactly. The closer they can stay to the process, they don't have, that's the thing, they can observe the process as close as they want. They don't have to be heavily involved in it if they don't want to. But the closer they can get, there are no surprises at the end. And the last thing we want is going through multiple days of shootings, having a big crew, big cast, using all the budget we have, just to find out that, by the way, we didn't like that. Could we reshoot that? Could we reshoot this? That's just a headache for the client, because it's wasted time, wasted resources. It's also, of course, a headache for the production company. So that's why, if you can streamline this process and get the client to participate to the needed level, what I would say, I think the most important thing, and that's a feedback we get a lot, is just make it enjoyable for them. Because at the end of the day, especially for someone in marketing, this is an exciting thing. They're not gonna look at spreadsheets all day. They're they're going to create an exciting story, and filmmaking is exciting for people. Hollywood is exciting for people, and any kind of filmmaking and behind the scenes and the equipment, and this is a totally different universe. So people like that. So why, instead of this being a burden for them, because it's also very complex, a lot of moving parts. It's stressful. It's scary for people. But what if we take away the scary part and leave them the exciting bit? So they don't have to worry about the scary part because we take care of it, but the exciting bit is there and they can just enjoy it. And that's why I want to show it to clients that, hey, don't worry. This is awesome. This is exciting. So you should be excited about it. And then when we're on set, I want them to see it. I'm excited about it. I want them to be excited about it. Like, let's share it. Let's share that excitement. And at the end of the day, when they say like, oh my God, this was amazing. And it was so good to be on set. I was like, yeah, see, it's good. Let's do another one.
I like it. Speaking of sharing, it'd be good to look at maybe a couple of other executions of some different bits and pieces.
What a segue. Let's go straight in. Andras, I want to get your reaction, Maddy, yours too, on a couple of Audible ad campaigns that are on TikTok at the moment. They're fairly recent. I haven't seen it, so let's just react. Let's just see what you think.
Yep, haven't
especially
seen it
as well from a sales perspective. Like, is this driving the ROI?
Here we go. Another beautiful day of solitary life in my favorite hangout.
That wife, please.
At least I have coffee. What have I done? Real smooth. No wonder I'm single. She's gorgeous. Of course I had to go and do that. Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. Let me get you a napkin. She's actually coming over. I need to set the mood. Oh my God, I am so sorry. I cannot believe I've done that.
That's okay.
Now she's asking me questions.
What's your name?
Is this a dream?
Tell me about yourself.
What shall I say?
What are you listening to?
Oh, this isn't going so well. I've got an idea. Perfect. Oh, it's worked. She wants to give me her number. What's this she's listening to? Audible. There's more to imagine when you listen.
I had a tip that the perp was going to be here. No, not him. That's him, Loverboy. I need to get closer. I need his phone for evidence. Time to make my move. A quick bump, a spilled coffee, and an apology.
I am so sorry. Let me get you a napkin.
Nailed it. It's going well, but he seems nervous.
So tell me about yourself.
I already know the answers, of course,
What's your name? What are you listening to?
but I need to distract him so I can get his phone. He stumbles over his words. Suspicious. He's looking away. This is the moment. Bingo.
I've got to run, but I'll take your number.
Okay, time to get out of here. Hopefully this gives me everything I'm looking for. Only time will tell. Audible. There's more to imagine when you listen.
What did you think of that creative?
This is creative. Based on our previous conversation, I think this hit pretty much all the notes that we described. This was creative on so many different levels, and it was relatable. We've probably all been in this situation. And to make it even more relatable, like you can see the entire first, actually, you can see the from framing that it was it was made for social media. But the way they shot it, it wasn't overly polished, but it was polished, but it didn't seem overly polished first. What it achieves that it doesn't stick out from your feed. So when you scroll on TikTok or wherever, it seems like another TikTok video shot on a phone. But then as the story develops, you realize it is actually high quality production with a lot of creative elements and flair in it. And then when we saw that other angle, watching it, I think from her point of view, which was like shaky, her point of view made it even more relatable. It seems like you are that person in that situation. So you can 100% relate, and then it tells a story. So it wasn't pitching you. You didn't know where they're going. It wasn't like, hey, it's Audible, you can listen to this and that and buy it now and it's on your phone. No, it was a story. So you immediately got hooked, engaged. Of course, they know what they're doing. They have the budget. It's a big company, and they have the right. They hire the right talent and creatives to execute on this. But I think it was very well executed.
I think it's got a couple of cool classic filmmaking techniques like match cuts and a couple of the cool VFX that make it interesting enough for people to almost share as well. Like it's just another cool video on TikTok, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's that's at the beginning. You look at it and it's like, you don't immediately realize it's a commercial necessarily, because the way they shot it, it could be a phone video or another piece of TikTok little story what they put up. So you keep looking at it and watching it, and then you realize by the end when the story unfolds that okay, it's Audible.
The other perspective from her point of view.
Yes, ties together the stories.
Yeah.
The once upon a time, they're basically telling the story, what they're listening to, and they're imagining it, and you see the different perspectives. So they're telling a visual story, but the whole thing is on Audible, which is...
But there's the other point too, highlighting what the range that Audible has. The sound design in this and the film style, just having it in black and white gives you that thriller, detective vibe of what she's talking about. The other one was a bit romancy, like he's trying to, it's a love story.
And on that note, it was also voiceover narrated. So voiceover narrated. So you technically what they're saying is you could listen to this story,
just like Audible.
Just like Audible, but they gave you they gave you what you can also imagine, and that's why I think the slogan was something along the line.
Very cool.
More to what you can listen to.
So both videos with that concept as a campaign, out of 10, what do you rate it?
I think pretty strong concepts. Out of 10, 7.5, 8.
7.5, 8.
I think our subjective opinion is one thing, which is great. But I think with these campaigns, you can also look at the numbers. And the numbers speak for themselves. So you can look at the numbers and did it hit the mark? Did they get the return on what they wanted or what awareness they wanted, click-through they wanted? If you run social campaigns, you have hundreds of different metrics you can look at to decide if this was successful or not. So
I'll buy it.
tell.
I'm going to get on the train.
Yeah.
Audible, newest customer.
Newest sponsor as well.
Seems like it works well for you, Maddy.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we're at time. So thank you for coming in. Thank you for having a chat. And hopefully we can get you on here again and discuss more about the movie magic of video production.
And more videos that you create.
Exactly.
Keen to see them.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. It was exciting and refreshing. See you next time.
See you.